Welcome to episode 20 of Crave the Book. Today we're going to be covering chapters 5 through 10 of Tracy Wolff's Crush. And we have so many fan theories for this week's episode, guys. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, guys, welcome to episode 20. In today's episode, we are covering chapters 5 through 10 of Crush. We have moved past Crave and started covering book 2. And not a whole lot goes on in these actual chapters that we're going to be covering today, but there is a lot of spoiler topics. So, Amber, do you want to let the listeners know what they should be looking out for in the event that they don't want anything spoiled for them?
Yes. So once we have gone through the chapter-only content, we're going to have the howl of this wolf.
Ooh.
And once that plays, that means that everything past that point is going to probably be a spoiler or a topic that you might not have come across if you have not read past this point. So if you haven't read Covet yet, or even the Guide to Katmere, because there's a few bits that are kind of mentioned in those as well, just listen out for the howl, drop out of the podcast, and come back and listen when you have caught up. Because we don't want to spoil it for anybody. Ruining surprises or giving the game away is fun for one person. It's not fun for the receiving end. We just want to make this as spoiler-free as possible. But these chapters, there's a lot of foreshadowing.
Yeah, so much. I was, during this reread, there are just so many little things that I'm picking up on that completely blew over my head the first time around. But before we get into it...
Questions.
Oh, go
questions
ahead.
that you realize, the questions that you never realized were actually answered.
Yeah.
Things that I had forgotten that had happened. But then I was like, wait, this is never addressed again, or if it was, I wasn't aware of it. I've got some questions down in the spoiler section that I'm intrigued to know whether we have an answer for, or could come up with a theory as to what the answer is.
Yeah. A couple little quick things. By the time this airs, Tracy will have made her announcement on Entangled Teen. Apparently tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, there's going to be an announcement from Tracy. Just because you guys are listening to this after it's already out, I'm going to say that I am hoping that
I loved it.
It was great. It was fantastic. Great teaser, Tracy. We love it. No, I'm hoping that we get a little bit about Remy's book tonight. Like maybe she'll give us some info on that. Is that what you think it is, Amber?
I think it is. I think that the fact that the blurb, or did you call it blurb? The synopsis?
Yeah. The pre-order is
up.
open for it.
Yeah, the fact that it went up the other day, I think that she's probably going to release a little bit of a teaser again, just to kind of boost more people into being aware that it's coming up.
Yeah.
Either that or something about Court, but I feel like the date is so close to the release date of Court that it might not be.
Yeah, we already know that it's coming, and same with Charm. We know the date for that. So
I'm going to be asleep when it airs, so
I'll record it.
Starla is very, very lovingly going to record it for me so that I can actually watch it.
Yeah. So next week, hopefully if it's something notable, we'll be able to talk about it in next week's episode. But the other little quick thing that I want to let you guys know, I keep saying selfless plug and my husband keeps calling me out for it. Selfish plug. It's a selfish...
It's not selfless.
Selfish plug, yeah. It's so selfless of me to make this announcement that my book is going to be releasing on Friday. But my book, The Channel, is... currently for pre-order on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, Google Books, and most other book places. You can pre-order that now, but it will be releasing to the public on Friday. So if you have a Kindle,
excited.
it should automatically... You bought it on Kindle, right?
Yes, so on the day of release, it automatically downloads and the money comes out of your account. But obviously it won't download until you turn your Kindle on. So you will get a notification, I think, that it has been downloaded, like an Amazon notification on your phone or an email to say that it has been purchased, but it obviously doesn't show up in your orders because you have already ordered it ages ago.
Interesting. Yeah. So, guys, if you're interested in reading
I'll
it,
let you know. I'll let you know when it comes.
Please do. Please do. So if you guys are interested in it, the channel is a new adult, neon noir inspired, cyberpunky. I kind of consider it a dark romance. I don't know if that's where I would classify.
There's hot guys. There's a new world. There's fantasy.
Found family.
There's cool cybernetic things in it that is a completely different world.
And a big puppy.
Yes. It's so different. It's so different to like the fiction that I normally read, but at the same time, it wasn't so different that I didn't enjoy it. It's a really good storyline. I was very angry. I was fuming with Starla when I finished the book. I was fuming at her for leaving me on such a cliffhanger. So it's great. It's a really, really good book. And I wholeheartedly recommend that you download it on Kindle or purchase the paperback, hardback. Is that hardback only?
No, there's hardback and paperback.
And it will be different for me anyway, because when I read through it to edit it, that was months ago. And you've probably changed it all.
Oh, I've changed so much. There's so much.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that my favorite parts aren't edited out yet.
If anything, they're extended. I don't think that we removed...
Oh, yeah.
We didn't remove anything. I just took the good parts and made them a little longer. So, guys, if you want to support me, you can follow me over at Explore the Channel on Instagram. I plan to be doing, some fun giveaways for merch and things like that. But in the meantime,
I wanted to also say, we should probably give it a spice rating as well, because I think that with all books, if you go into it thinking, oh, there's spice, and then there's no spice, it's really disappointing. But also the other way around, if you go into it hoping for just a completely clean book, and then there's spice, it's always a little bit like, I wasn't expecting this. I would say that it's definitely young adult.
It reads like
adult.
Yeah, it reads like a young adult. But because of the age of the character, it needs to be classified as new adult, though there is a lot of cursing and gore and kind of adult themes. That's where I would say 16 plus on the age scale, but it would be acceptable for a younger audience because there isn't a lot of spice.
There you go.
Yeah, because my dad is gonna read it, and that would be weird. Though, if asked, I am in a new adult, which means that I could technically get spicier if enough people requested, and if I had screenshots, from my raving fans on social media saying we want more spice, I could obviously send those to my dad and say, "Well, Dad, sorry." It's what
more chili needed.
More chili needed. Gotta spice up the chili. All right, guys, let's go ahead and hop into our topics. Like I said before, we have a lot more to talk about in the spoiler section than we do the non-spoilers. But Grace is still in Finn's office. She's kind of, she's trying to figure out her new reality. She clearly has the same opinions of gargoyles that we did, where she's just like, oh, cool stone. Yay. That's so neat. Like, she doesn't seem...
The thing is, then Jackson says, oh, you clearly don't know how cool gargoyles are because you don't sound very enthusiastic. And yet he still doesn't know what gargoyles do. So he's trying to big her up without actually having any of the facts behind it.
It's not alive?
They can do this. They can do this. They can do this. They can do this. He doesn't. He just goes, they're really, really cool.
Yeah.
Promise.
He's not 1,000. They died 1,000 years ago. They were killed 1,000 years ago. And he's not 1,000. He's a couple hundred, right? Years old. Yeah. So he wasn't alive when the gargoyles were still around.
No, but at the same time, it wasn't like... so if somebody tried to describe, a
T-Rex
thylacine...
Oh, okay.
I was going to say 1,000 years. Come on, not millions. 1,000 years, a thylacine, or like a dodo or something like that.
Yeah.
You can still describe them. You can still say like what they were
Yeah, but
good at. And
we
if
have
you've
comparable animals. We have things that are comparable. A gargoyle isn't something that they have anything to compare with. It would be like describing a dinosaur, where it's like, well, your guess is as good as mine. 1,000 years is a hell of a long time.
I just am like a bit disappointed that he doesn't go like, oh, like you have horns, you have wings, you're made of stone, nothing. He's just like, they're really cool.
He doesn't know anything. He has no idea.
It's like, oh, she's going to be so disappointed when she turns out, yes, literally all she can do is turn to stone.
Yeah, like he's giving the exact same like response and tone that if I walked out in an ugly dress and said, "Does this make my butt look big?" No, it's great. You look great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Gray said, I think he's forgetting that having a psychopathic vampire on my ass has pretty much been the norm for me since I got to the school. And I'm just sitting there like, lucky.
Well, she wants to go straight back to class, and everybody seems to be really like, no, you can take some time off. And she's like, literally all I have done since I've been at this bloody school is take time off.
Yeah, how long has she gone to school? Like, has it only been 4 days that she's actually attended class?
So the first book took place over a week, and I'm going to say that she only turned up to classes like 3 out of those days.
Yeah. And then I really love how Finn and Jackson are kind of fighting, and Jackson's like, what Grace needs is to feel safe. And then Finn's like, no, what Grace needs is routine. And Grace finally stands up for herself. She's like, Grace will be better off if her uncle and boyfriend stop talking to her and start talking to her instead of about her. And then she's like, you know, I'm not gonna lie down and just let the menfolk make decisions about my life. And I'm like, damn girl, good balls.
She grew a backbone.
Huh?
She grew a backbone.
Yeah. She's finally got
a backstone.
Backstone, yeah. Grace got her backstone.
Yeah.
Like she's finally got some balls. Good on you, Grace. Like for real. Because, you know, in the first book, she really does let everybody kind of make decisions for her, and Jackson's kind of grabbing her by the wrist and dragging her around, and she's just like, okay.
Yeah.
Now
I think that like during Crave, everybody else was the person in the know. That she was kind of following around blindly, innocently, naively, not really knowing what went on in the world to be able to make any judgment on it. Whereas right now, they're literally discussing what Grace would want. And she's like, hang on a minute, I know what I want. So therefore, I can actually weigh in on this. And I think that's because the stakes are really high. It's the fact that she's realized that the last memory that she has is of Hudson swinging a sword, and no one knows where he is. And that happened nearly 4 months ago. And everybody else is talking about her as if she was stuck in stone. And honestly, the only person that's probably capable of retrieving her memories would be Grace. So Grace is probably feeling a bit frustrated right now with the fact that they're kind of arguing over her when she's really like the most important person in the room right now to be able to discover her memories is me. So therefore, you need to shut up and listen to what I need from this conversation so that I can actually give you the answers that you keep plying me for. And I think that this is the start of Grace's development as a character, of realizing that she's not just this feeble human anymore, that she is actually someone of importance, someone who has resilience about her, not just because she is a gargoyle and that she is supernatural, but because she's worth it as a person as well.
Absolutely. And this is where, like, I finally started to like her character. Like, last book, I was frustrated with her a lot. I'm like, God, Grace, open up your eyes. Like, be a little bit more observant. Damn. And then this book, she really, really starts growing up. And I have some theories about that in the spoiler section. But so they leave Finn's office, and Jackson starts to take Grace up to his room. And once again, she's got a little bit of a backbone. She's like, no, I want to go to my room. I am ready to start going to class. I want to get dressed. Like, I need to get back. And Jackson's like, okay, all right, let's go. And then they're racing to her room. And I think it's one of those things like where she realizes, oh crap, we're going to be alone. We're going to finally be alone. And he
comes to the same conclusion.
Yeah, Jackson's like, I've only seen her.
But then again, that was his entire plan. Like, why would he go to her? Why would he take her to his room if he didn't?
Yeah. He's like, I don't care where we go. She's got
her. For her, it's been like an hour.
Yeah, like
for him, it's been 4 months.
She's been hard this whole time, so I can't imagine.
Ew.
So they go to her room.
Filthy minx.
They go to her room, and Jackson he gets burned by the fun curtains that we haven't heard about in a while. I was like, yes, the curtains. But
he doesn't care. He doesn't care that he's hurt. He rams her up against that door, and he is kissing her like he doesn't need to breathe again.
Yeah, and you know what? This is one of those scenes where I was like, all right, Jackson, all right, yeah. But she notices that he's lost a lot of weight. Like, she starts kind of feeling his hips, and she realizes that he's all like sunk in since the last time that she saw him. And I'm just like, man, he needs to drink some animals that have high blood sugar. And it would be like one of those blood mass gainer shakes that you drink when you're bodybuilding. Like you need to get like, I don't know, a bear who just ate some honey or something.
Yeah, a bear that's just prepared to hibernate for the winter.
Yeah.
Super fat and floppy and chunky.
Yeah, and that bear, you could probably get like a couple little vials out of him and him not even notice. He's like, I don't care. It's not. He wouldn't even have to kill the bear. Just give him a little poke, like a blood draw at the doctor. He'd be fine. He'd be all right. But
Outbreak seems to like hit different in a lot of the books I've read recently. So Court of Thorn and Roses, she stops eating. This one, Jackson stopped eating. Zodiac Academy, both Tori and Darcy stop eating. It seems to be a theme that runs throughout, that when you get your heart broken or you can no longer be with the person that you love, you just stop eating. I'm the opposite.
I'm just thinking,
I can't stop eating.
It's in Twilight with Mike, or New Moon with Mike Newton going, you gotta get that protein in there. Yeah.
I like, it seems to be a theme that like when the man or the woman that they love is no longer able to be with them, they just withdraw and not become pathetic, but become pathetic.
Yeah,
I
get it.
Yeah, but at the same time, why can't that happen to me? Like, if all I needed to do was lose a 3 stone, was for Scott to just go, I'm going on holiday and leaving you for a few weeks. But in reality, I'd put on 3 stone because he's left me, because I sad eat.
It depends on how sad I am. I think that when I hit that like Bella Swan New Moon like state of depression, which I have several times in my life, not in a long time, obviously, because I've been married for almost 12 years. But I've had those breakups where I've Bella Swanned myself into my room. And it's not that like I'm starving myself, but the idea of taking care of yourself and the idea of eating it never occurs to you. It's like, it's almost like you forget that that's a thing that you need to do. Same with like showering. You're like, oh yeah, I should probably wash my stinky butt. Like, you're like, oh no, nobody's gonna see my butt anyway. I don't need to wash it. Nobody's gonna see it. Like, you just quit trimming your toenails. No one's gonna see my toenails anymore. No one's ever gonna love me again. And let me tell you guys, Freddie, I know that we have a lot of teenage listeners. Someone will see your butt again, I promise. Someone will see your toenails again, I promise.
It might just be a doctor, but
get that protein in there. But everything will be okay, I promise you. I went through some breakups where I'm like, I will never find anyone ever again.
Did you go through the sudden conclusion that you were going to be a old cat lady?
Oh yeah.
Every time. Like, I'm just gonna swear off men forever and love women instead. That's never occurred to me. Like, yes, sure, I'm gonna suddenly become a lesbian and live the rest of my life wanting women, but at the same time, I cannot bear to touch another woman's vagina. It is a no from me. I'm as straight as a ruler, and yet every time I feel sad or like jilted, my first impression is I'm gonna swear off men forever.
Yeah, I definitely had those. Like, I had female friends who were like, "Why don't you just try dating girls?" And I'm like, "I wish I could. I wish I could."
I know. Like, there is a tag group on Facebook, and it is the fact that I am still attracted to men proves that sexuality is not a choice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yep. It's the I wish I could, because there are genuinely some women that I think I could probably live with for the rest of my life, and we'd probably never have an argument that escalated past you ate the rest of the cereal and now I'm hungry and I don't have any cereal. Like, that would probably be the crux of the worst case scenario. Like you, for example. I think that we would live together perfectly fine. Well, probably because we'd live at opposite ends of the house and ignore each other.
Let's make a pact that if there's a freak accident that kills both of our husbands simultaneously, we will just live in a weird relationship where our sexuality consists of eating cereal.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
And then we don't even have to touch hoo-hoo. We can just eat cereal instead. But
everybody will believe that we're touching the hoo-hoo.
Yeah.
And we would be okay with that analysis.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be my whole, would be like, ooh, what do you want tonight? Fruit Loops or Cheerios? you can even, you don't even have those cereals, do you?
We have Cheerios.
Oh, you do have Cheerios. That sounds like something you would have. We have Cheerios.
Cheerio.
Oh, okay.
I'll bring some really boring British cereal over, and you can show me your marshmallow cereal anytime, baby.
All right, let's see. So you know what? I wanted to bring this up in our last episode, and I didn't get to, and I'm sad. Or not last episode. The last episode of Crave. But Grace had talked about Jackson's nice ass, or his fine ass, when they're building the snowman, and then he wiggles his butt around. And again, she brings up, as he's walking down the hallway, he's leaving. She's
making
decided
goo-goo eyes at her.
Yeah, she's going to take a shower. He's going to go ahead and leave so she can get ready for class. And she's watching his nice ass, as she's called it. And I'm wondering, when we get the movies, do you think we're going to get like a sexy jiggle slow-mo shot?
like a pan down.
Yeah. And if so, what song is going to play? Is it going to be like that, oh yeah, like, are we going to get...
Day bow bow.
Like, I want that.
This, yeah.
I want it to be like Goblet of Fire with the girls, but I want it to be just Jackson, zooming in on Jackson's, like, butt jiggling.
Have you seen the guy who plays Victor Crumb now?
No. I was just commenting on his hairline.
Oh, daddy vibes. Oh.
Does he still have that tiny forehead?
No. Victor Crumb is nothing on this guy. Oh. I don't think they're the same person, honestly.
I'm gonna look it up.
But yeah, I'm maybe like an acoustic version of Hips Don't Lie.
Hold on a minute. You know what's funny was when we watched Goblet of Fire this weekend, where everybody's chanting crumb. Yeah. We were eating, and Amy was watching the floor, and I pointed at Amy and I went crumb, because she's watching for crumbs to fall. Let's see. Oh wow, yeah, he's got like super long hair now.
He glowed up.
I much prefer him with long hair
or grimed down. I'm not really sure.
I
encourage everybody to have a look.
Yeah, go have a look, guys. I would put it up on the YouTube screen, but I've promised myself in the new year that I'm not going to give myself things to
extra work.
Yeah, I've decided that for the podcast I'm not going to give myself extra work. So it's an Easter egg for you guys. Go Google. I just Googled Victor Crumb now, and got lots of good pictures.
Yep.
So
yep.
Go take a peek, guys.
I was not attracted to him in the movies.
No, me neither. Even Taylor.
No.
Yeah, Taylor was like, she's almost 10 now, and we were watching it, and she's like, why is everybody, or first she said, wow, I bet the girls are just loving this. And then she said he's not even that cute.
No, and also in the book, because you have you read Harry Potter? You have.
I haven't.
Yeah, so in the book of Goblet of Fire, they're obviously at the Wizard's Cup. What is it called? The game.
Crap. I know what you're talking about. The world thing. The big
yes, the
big...
World Cup.
Yeah.
The World Cup, whatever it is. And like Crumb is part of it. They introduce him, and he's so much more of a character, so that when he walks through the doors in Hogwarts, everybody recognizes him. But he has such a fleeting moment on screen that, like, when he comes out, I'm like, oh
yeah, because during that scene in the movie, like when they first start the game, it's like you see the game about to start and you're ready for it, and then it's like boo, and then it just goes to like back to the Weasley tent.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I wanted to at least get like a little bit of this game.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a case of like they just cut it out, and he was supposed to be like a bigger character. Like they were supposed to show how skilled he was on a broom and how well he like.
Instead, you just get Ron like, going, he's an artist.
Yeah. And then he comes in, and then you're like, oh. I can't even be attracted to him because of his skill, because I've seen nothing.
Yeah. All right. Your next note is yours, and I completely agree. You want to take this one?
So I said, mystical architecture.
That's the class.
Yeah,
that's the class Grace is going to. She's getting ready for her mystical architecture class, and she's like, maybe it's because I am mystical architecture.
Yeah, like, firstly, how is there enough content to produce a syllabus for this thing? And secondly, why is Flint taking it?
He's not only...
Why is Flint excelling at it?
Yeah, not only is he taking it, he's like kicking his feet up on the table. He's like, yeah, I don't even got to take the midterms. I'm chilling. Yeah.
So there's this thing that I've noticed. Again, just like whenever they've had a breakup and everyone starves themselves in a book, in books, it's always the hot guys that are the smart ones.
Oh, that is not my reality. Like, that is not my experience.
No. And the reason that, like, you sat in class and the person that you seem to be most attracted to is the hot guy who is causing trouble in class because he can get away with things because of his looks. And he obviously can't put his, like, knuckle down and put his head to work because obviously he's too beautiful for that. Meanwhile, the guys that are at the top of the class don't tend to necessarily be the people that draw your eye. And I'm thinking it's because women are writing these fictions based on our fantasies. And yes, we would like smart men.
Oh man, I don't do that in the book that I wrote. JC's kind of a dummy.
Yeah, but he's dummy in a way that, like, he doesn't, it's not at school.
He's a soldier dummy. Like, he's kind of a dummy, but like you can't be mad at him for being a dummy because he's just kind of a dummy. And then Dane, he's kind of a dummy and he is good looking, but he got kicked out of the military because he's kind of a dummy. Like, yeah, they're both kind of dummies. Like
if you think about it, there's the Twilight. Edward knows all of the curriculum.
He's been doing it for how many years? Exactly. How many years has he had to go back?
Yeah, he's 119, so I'm gonna say he's been going back to school for over 100 years.
Mr. Cullen, would you mind reciting the last lines of Iambic Pentameter? What a class.
So you got Edward Cullen, then you've got Flint and Jackson. They're apparently really, 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 really smart. And then you've also got in the Zodiac Academy, you've got all of the Celestial Heirs are super, super intelligent and super, super smart and super, super powerful. And then the dumb ones are, like, not attractive at all. And I'm just like, they're playing into my fantasy here.
Yeah,
that's it. It was just something I noticed. That I'm
marketing.
Like, this isn't reality.
You're a business owner. You know that target marketing. That's good. That's good business ownership. Should they know their target audience? I love that Grace figured out that the bat door was not a Batman reference and that it's actually Makai's door. I was like, hee hee. Something about that was cute to me. That I'm just imagining him like sitting outside his like in the hallway, like sticking all of his bat stickers to his door. It made me like his character a little more. Even he's one of my favorites.
He's got a sense of humor.
Yeah, he's funny. All right, last note's yours.
Yes, my last note is that, so based on what happened in the last chapters of Crave, Flint tried to kill Grace. And it's not exactly a secret. Even if Flint never admitted to it, Jackson sure as hell would have. I'm not even sure what had happened in the 4 months between Jackson and Flint, because surely there would be probably a bit more conflict than what was apparent. But all of a sudden, Flint has kind of finagled his way into spending an hour and a half with Grace alone doing this project with her. And I was just thinking, why would Finn have allowed that? Not necessarily because Flint was still a risk. He wasn't necessarily. He probably could have determined the fact that Hudson came out and that Leah's plans had actuated, Flint's now not get any reason to try and kill Grace again. But at the same time, he's not taking Grace's feelings into account whatsoever, into thinking, oh, do you know what would be really great? Putting the person who tried to kill you into a project with each other.
Or just different classes.
Yeah, like, I was like, yeah, this is so inconsiderate.
Yeah.
And Grace doesn't seem to have any objections about it either, which kind of concerns me. I know she does say that she's finding it very hard not to trust him or not to like him and not to smile back because of his charisma. But at the same time, I would still be very unsure about spending any time alone together.
It's a lack of self-preservation going on. She's like,
yeah,
that's fine. Yeah. Like, she's not happy about it, but I would be.
What a boring project as well.
And we didn't even leave any notes about this teacher who apparently, I would yell right now, but my husband told me that it's not good mic etiquette to yell. But I totally just imagine this teacher.
Stage yell.
Like, Miss Foster, would you like to do this project with Flood? Like, I'm sure that it was like for him, because I am assuming that he is like a giant, because he's over like 7 feet tall. I'm assuming that he is talking in a normal tone. It just is coming out very loud. But when I read it, I imagined him yelling like this.
Very deep and booming.
Yeah.
And I like, so when they first go into their class and Flint advises her to stay near the back, and she wasn't as quick on the uptake as she should have been and then ended up sitting at the front. I thought it was going to be a spitting issue.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was going to be like fire, like someone was going to like have hot breath or something. Yeah.
Or just the back of the classroom is the best place because you can fall asleep in mystical architecture very easily at the back of the classroom.
I completely forgot that any of this encounter even happened. Like, when I rereading it was a joy. I'm like, I totally forgot about this. You want to hop into spoilers?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so we've got a lot in here. So it looks like you've got most of the spoilers. So we'll stop when I get to some of mine.
So there's a bit at the beginning of the chapters that we read today that she said that something small and scared rightly felt that just let go the minute that they said the word gargoyle. Like it had known all along and was waiting for me to notice. And I was like, it's like, you know, when somebody says like their identity is confirmed by somebody else and they go, oh, thank God, like a diagnosis or something.
Yeah.
Or something like you go to a doctor's and you've been feeling poorly or you've been feeling ill your entire life. And then all of a sudden a doctor takes note and actually takes you seriously and diagnoses you and gives you what you have or your condition. And suddenly you feel the pieces click and you go, oh, thank God, I finally know who I am and what I can do to fix it or how to feel better. But yeah, it was the first time that she's acknowledged that she could be something more than human. Every other time before, she was kind of like, what, a human? Whenever Leah said anything, she was like, yeah, it was the first time she actually was like, yeah, this inner voice inside me, maybe it was my gargoyle all along, and it's all now clicked.
The tea has finally worn off.
Hopefully. Well, she didn't just have the month before Katmere and then the week. She's now had 4 months to wear this tea off.
I mean, she has been in stone, so who knows how the metabolism works. Well,
it's like there's no circulation.
Yeah, she's gargoyled. But yeah, I picked up on that too. I think that it is that gargoyle finally having her permission to be awake because it has been acknowledged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then my second point was, and I realized with a dawning horror that chills my very soul, I don't know the answer to the most important question of all. What happened to Hudson? And now we've read Court. Now we've read Covert and One Day Court. That is the most important question, isn't it?
Oh, God, yeah, that's the question. And you know what's great is I know, because you knew reading this series the first time, I had not mentioned anything about a Jackson. I was just talking about this other guy, Hudson. And I know that this is the point when you were probably like, yeah, this is the guy.
Yeah, where is he?
Where is he?
Go get the girl.
Where's the guy?
Go get him, girl. That's the guy.
The sinister guy, you know that.
Yeah, and I was like everything that she said about Hudson, that was like an inner question, could be taken positively or negatively.
I choose like her to soul, take it positively.
Like her soul knew, but like when we first read through, we were thinking it was negative. Obviously, deep down, we really wanted it to be that Hudson was amazing. But she was just in denial. But yeah, it could have been taken the other way. But now on the second read through, everything sounds as though she has the right questions and that she is concerned about him and stuff like that. But she doesn't know why.
It's like the right question, the wrong inflection, because it could be like, what happened to Hudson? Or it could be like, what happened to Hudson? Like
where is he?
Yeah, like, where is my Hudson?
Yeah.
Versus like, oh my God, where is he here? Like,
and it chills her very soul, the fact she doesn't know where he is or what happened. And she starts going through the scenarios of why she remained being a gargoyle for so long, or why she came back. Because Jackson and Finn said that the reason why she came back was because she was ready to come back, and they don't think that she would have come back had she known it wasn't safe. So she's going through all of the reasons, and none of them were, maybe I fell in love with him. And I was like, come on, girl, just say it, just say it, just say it. You fell in love with him. That's not the reasons. Stop saying those silly things, like the fact that he stopped you from leaving and things like that. I'm like, stop being mean to my boy.
Oh yeah, like we've said in past episodes, it's always the brother. Like, don't worry about the first guy that gets introduced. He will not ever be important. You wait it out for the brother. It's always going to be the brother.
And that's why Bella ended up with Emmett.
Yes. Oh God, yeah. Kellen Lutz is he's aging very finely. He's
So I'm more of a daddy's girl, and I would end up with Carlisle. Fix me, daddy.
Fix me, daddy. Yeah, there was definitely some sexual tension in New Moon when he was stitching her arm, and she's like holding
that smirk of like that tiny like mouth corner of the mouth.
That's
twitch.
Not a dad smirk.
Like, yeah.
All right, so next point is very, very long, and Amber is informed
I went a bit mad.
She's like, I must read this word for word. I won't.
So here we go.
I didn't read it ahead of time. I gave you your note privacy.
Good. Okay, so here we go. Why doesn't she remember? It wasn't their plan once they escaped. Neither Grace or Hudson would choose to forget. If it isn't something that gargoyles are known for doing, what happened? Hudson, even once Hudson is out of the gargoyle, he still remembers everything. So who made sure Grace specifically couldn't remember? There is an impenetrable wall when she tries to remember anything from that time. Someone must have had to build it. Someone who is good at reading memories. Someone who wanted Grace and Jackson to stay together. Someone who is old enough to remember gargoyles and knew how they worked. Someone who is manipulating Grace from the start. And someone who tends to have all the answers and yet makes all of the answers very cryptic.
So you're thinking that
Need
the
I
blood
say
letter...
more?
That the blood letter...
Absolutely. Yes.
Did she... Okay,
She
so...
put a block on her before.
I wonder if Jackson going... Did he go to her? Did he go to the blood letter after Grace was gargoyled, or just before when he got the spell to break the mating bond?
I think he did. I think he mentions it later that he did. He must have, because if anybody would have known the answer, it would have been her. Like, the fact that she knows the spell to break a bond, the fact that she knows everything to do with when Grace goes back with Jackson, and then all of a sudden Hudson is able to be less of a voice in her head and more of an actual figure in her periphery. Like, she can do so many more things than anybody else, but she does it really sneakily and also quite evilly. And there's something saying that I think that they knew Grace was going to be a gargoyle at some point. Then they wanted to kind of put a block on her so that she didn't remember what happened once she was there.
Okay. That theory checks out.
Because there's no other reason why she wouldn't remember it.
And they made a point to say
it wasn't a traumatic time.
Yeah, they made a point to say that this is not typical of gargoyles to forget what has happened.
Yeah, and it's not like something traumatic happened to the point where she tried to repress the memories. It's not a choice where, like, they said, okay, we need to escape the gargoyle. We finally worked out how to do it. But once we do, we need to remove our memories because the only way for me to be free is for us to fall in love again. Like, there's nothing like that. There is genuinely something physically stopping Grace from looking at her memories or being able to remember anything.
And it's just that one occasion, because she does turn to stone in front of Jackson later, either I think in this book, and freaks him out. Like, she completely turns to stone and freaks him out, doesn't she? And and in Witch's Court, the Witch's Court bonus, she also turns to stone as a child. So this is something that she is actively able to do, not just like her gargoyle form where she's like able to fly around, but turning like to solid stone, impenetrable, just statue stone, which is separate from where she turns to stone and can fly and move. This is like a completely different layer where she goes dormant. She does it in front of her mom and her dad, and then she does it in front of Jackson to kind of freak him out, and then he gets mad at her. I vaguely remember that, and I believe it's in this book.
But she's still conscious at that point. She's still looking out at the world. When she went fully into her gargoyle, she never tries to do it again. She never goes, look, I got out before. There's no imminent threat. Because still, there's no imminent threat, really. They don't know where Hudson is, but at the same time, if it was me, I would want to know more about my powers. Even if I didn't know I could fly, and I didn't know that I had earth magic or any of that, I would go, okay, I want to see how to do it again. But she needs Hudson to be able to even tell her how to access her gargoyle.
Like, he knows more than she does.
Yeah. And then he's also concerned about telling her anything from their time in the gargoyle. And we find out during Katmere it's because he's like, would it make a difference? Would it really make a difference if I told you what had happened? Would you suddenly love me? Or because you can't tell someone, well, you love me. You really do. You loved me once, so therefore you can do it again because of X, Y, Z. It has to be a natural, instinctual thing to do. But at the same time, now she loves him, he's still not come up with what they did.
Yeah.
Or how they got out.
It might just be a fear of rejection.
Yeah. I don't think the reasons that Hudson's keeping any secrets is nefarious. Like, his promise to Grace is never going to be a bad one.
No.
And I'm just like, okay, someone else has to be manipulating her memories. And when fiction is written, you don't have somebody that nefarious who hasn't been mentioned yet. It's not like Court is going to introduce a character and it was like, oh yeah, I did that. Like, it's going to be someone who was there all along, who had access to Grace.
Yeah, I mean, it almost has to be the bloodletter, because I mean, we could say that it's like Cyrus, but he hasn't had any contact with her up until the not the Ludaire's game. It's when they come to the school.
And she must know that Grace is a gargoyle, because she gave, firstly, the bond. She set the bond in action with Jackson. So she set the false bond in action. But also she spoke to both of her parents and they arranged it before Grace even was aware.
Yeah.
And I reckon they probably also got the magic to be able to repress Grace's power from the bloodletter, because she seems to have the potions and recipes and spells for everything. Why wouldn't a memory spell or a block be anything that she couldn't do?
Yeah, because Grace's parents totally knew. They knew that she was she was not just a gargoyle, but an earth elemental. They were fully aware of it. That we get that in the Witches' Court bonus. So I think
that maybe I could probably develop the theory a bit more when we get to the Bloodletter's Cave when Grace releases Hudson, because reading that again might help, because I forgot entirely about the fact that she had like a wall. She has like this barrier that's stopping her from remembering things. I just thought she couldn't remember it.
Yeah.
Not that she was trying and there was something physically stopping her. So I'm wondering whether there's something about that wall that she breaks down and that's when Hudson arrives, in which case he was the thing behind the wall, not the memories.
Yeah. And she can only hear like an echo of his voice there.
Why? Why would she do that on purpose? And I don't think that she is going to either be able to be capable of doing that as well. Like, you couldn't accidentally put up a barrier or a wall against the person that you love.
Yeah.
Like, I think you have to physically put in the effort to do that. So someone else did it. Guaranteed. Someone else did it.
Yeah. And we also got confirmation of, I feel like this is kind of attached to that wall that she describes. She talks about being cut up, and we thought that it was just like her wrists and things from the Leah encounter. But she says that it looks like she like tried to claw her way out of something, or she got in a fight. And I'm wondering, like, maybe she had to, maybe it was like a physical thing. Like she had to climb over or through or naked mole rat her way under this wall. I feel almost like in Charm, like there's going to be some like physical fight to get through the barrier, and Hudson didn't make it all the way through.
Or she realized that she could get out, turned around to see Hudson, and there was a wall, and she realized that he was on the other side, tried to claw her way to get through to him, and was so heartbroken that she repressed that memory of suddenly being separated from him.
Yeah. Ooh.
But then again, wouldn't he remember that? Because he remembers everything.
He does, but he doesn't tell her. He could totally remember that.
And I think that he would also remember how they got out, whereas Grace doesn't. So he's not even giving her the tools. And this is probably the one thing that I'm like, Hudson, do better, mate. That if she found herself turning to stone again and was completely alone, she might not have the ability to come back at all. Because no one's taught her how to leave.
Yeah.
Like, they worked it out together.
Yeah, but
he's holding out on her.
They worked out how to bring two people back. They were trying to figure out how to bring them both back. Whereas because she's been able to bring herself back from stone on her own, maybe it was more that she was trying to like, oh, it's either both of us go or none of us go. So.
Yeah, is this just like a,
We will find out.
Who has been who has been playing around with Grace's mind.
No, I like that theory.
Yeah, thanks. The next one is Grace says, I want to figure out what happened with Hudson. I feel like we've got to get to find him if we have any chance at all of keeping everyone safe. And I'm like, yes! Preach it, sister! Daddy gonna keep everybody safe.
He's gonna obliterate the bad guys. He is going to turn them into dust.
I feel like if Grace didn't know deep down that Hudson was either in her mind or was free, she's not nearly as fretting about it if she really truly believed that he was that evil.
Yeah.
I think she knows deep down that she would be dead if he was who Jackson said he was. Which is why it is slightly concerning when she said that it's possible that his influence might have got to her, and that's how she's got back and how she doesn't remember anything.
I actually have theories about that coming up. Yeah. So Grace, I remember the first time reading it, how Grace loses like the passion the moment that Jackson brushes that fang against her neck. And says that he loves her. I'm wondering, like, I know that we're led to believe it's because like it's kind of Hudson who's pushing back against it. But I wonder if there's some little corner of her brain that is like, no, I'm cheating on Hudson. Like, is there a part of her that's like, no, I love Hudson? Like, where she's like, ooh, this is wrong. This is not okay, because the greater part of her love is dedicated to someone else. Therefore, it almost feels like a betrayal, but she's just not conscious of it.
I see. I think that it is the fact that the stars have aligned where she has met the guy she is supposed to be bonded with.
Yeah.
But when she comes back, the bond that she does have, firstly, she's still not aware of it. She's still in the books where we are, the chapter that we're on. She's still not aware that she has bonded to Jackson. But it's almost like her body can sense the fallacy, the difference between being with Hudson and being with Jackson, and how different it is that it is not real. It is not real love. It's not a real infatuation. The fact that she says mine and everything like that, and she like, it's almost like she's like second guessing herself, like, wait, there's something wrong here. And I don't necessarily think that it's because she's upset that she's cheated on Hudson, because as soon as Hudson comes to her, it's not like she's even worse.
Right.
I kind of feel like there's something about almost trying to lie to yourself about being in love with someone that you're not in love with. Like, if you went back to any of the partners that you had before you knew what real love was.
Oh God, kill me now.
Where you thought that it was love, and then you're in a relationship with you and you go, this isn't love. But she still thinks it because she has no memories. But there's something off about it.
Yeah. Now I've done that. Have you, it's like that quote where people say, like, going back to your ex is like trying to put poop back into your butt. I have broken up with the crazy abusive one. I broke up with him and then dated someone else and then got back with him. And it was just completely different. Like, it was gross. I was repulsed by his presence. I did not want him to touch me. And here he thought that he was salvaging it. So he was like acting overly vulnerable, crying a lot, trying to woo me, buying me gifts. And I felt like the bad guy because I was like, I'm like, oh, you're being so nice.
I don't feel the same.
Yeah.
But I don't feel the same.
Exactly. You're being nice now, but that doesn't make me forget about the time that you beat me up. It doesn't make me forget about all these awful things that you did to me the last time. And I mean, this was like a 6-year relationship. So, and then.
Yeah, I think that brains are more capable of things than we think that they are. They make connections without us even really trying, and you being in a relationship with someone else probably would have shown you what the red flags were, but you probably weren't conscious of what they were until you went back to a different relationship and went, hold on, that not that I'm comparing him, but I felt a lot safer.
Yeah, and
the other guy.
The in-between relationship, I mean, it wasn't the guy was, I mean, he was nice. Like we had an okay relationship. He ended up cheating on me, but then messaging me and saying like, I cannot consciously stay with you after doing this to you. And it was kind of the, the more respectful thing to do, not drag me along. No, he admitted like, I am a dirtbag and I think that you deserve better. And, I'm glad that he did that rather than
you deserve better. And then you went back.
And then I went back. Yeah, exactly. I did not do the better thing. But being with someone who, just treated me even just a tiny bit better. Like he wasn't anything. He wasn't like overly good to me. He wasn't like, he wasn't like how my husband is now, but because it was just incrementally better than what I had before.
Yeah.
I was able to recognize like, man, what I had before was crap. And then I, for some reason, decided to go back to the crap guy. And yeah, it was
to
like trying to put.
It was probably to confirm. It was probably to go, well, yeah, hindsight is 20/20, but the grass is always greener. So you go, oh yeah, but the passion was more there.
Oh yeah, you have to, there has to be like that passion in those crazy relationships. And I think that that's what makes them so hard to get out of, because you think that it's passion because it's one extreme to the next. It's either fiery, burning passion or it's ice cold abuse, whether it be physical or mental. It's one or the other, but you get addicted to the highs and the lows and you just want to stay on that roller coaster because you get so used to it. And yeah,
you get used to the attention as well. When somebody's attention is so focused on you, whether it's a positive or a negative, like the fact that you then start to crave that attention. So when you're in a relationship that is quite sane and normal, but your partner doesn't necessarily devote 100% of his attention to you, making sure that you're not cheating on him and making sure who you messaging is completely 100% safe people for you to message, and making sure that you like are home when you say that you are going to be home and things like that, you then start to think, oh, he doesn't love me as much because he's not paying as much attention.
Yeah. And that is not it at all. Yeah. Savor those. Those are the good ones. Those are the ones you want, because 10 years down the line, if you want to go to Starbucks in the bookstore and you get 10 text messages, where are you? What are you doing? Who are you with?
Unless it's sexting, then that's okay.
Yeah. Take a picture.
What are you wearing?
Yeah. Take a picture to prove that you're actually at the bookstore. Like, that is crazy behavior. I've been with that level of crazy before, and that's not good. Okay. Speaking of phones, you've posed a fantastic question.
Yeah. Where the hell even is her phone?
It's inside her. If you X-ray her, it will be in there.
Everything else is miraculously back in her room. So it's not like, because I thought, oh, maybe when she turned to stone, everything else was turned to stone around her. But then I'm like, oh no, because her bag and everything. Was she going to class without her bag? Because it was in her room when she went back.
Maybe she dropped it and someone took, maybe it was like one of those things where the sword hit, she dropped it, it was okay, but everything that she was wearing, everything on her person was turned to stone.
I just feel like the one thing that could be an issue is it's not like her phone and her keys and her bag was missing. It's her phone is missing, which has like loads of important stuff on it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay. She had her phone on her when she turned into a gargoyle. I'm wondering whether she was able to use it, took pictures of her and Hudson together.
Ooh.
And somebody removed it. And somebody removed it to remove her memory. Because, but then you're like, okay, you probably could have just deleted it all. Deleted all the photos. But I think somebody wants to hold something over her head.
Yeah, it'll be funny if like in court we read it and they'll be holding it up and be like, haha, look what I have. And Grace is like, that's an iPhone 4. I have the new iPhone blah blah blah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like of all the things that I would be very unconcerned about somebody stealing, not because of its value monetary wise, but because of all my passwords, my bank accounts, my apps, my contacts.
You think someone's pulling a Christian Grey on her where
like I feel like somebody has taken her phone to have the information that is on it.
Yeah. No, that checks out. And if for any reason she's able to transfer her like data and her phone number and everything over to the new phone easily, I don't know if she
wouldn't have changed it. I don't think she would change it.
Yeah, because she kept contact with Heather and stuff. If she's able to just switch that over, I do believe that in 50 Shades, Christian Grey does something similar where he has her phone, doesn't he? And she has a new phone, but he's able to track everything that she's... Or am I thinking of you? I get you in 50 Shades of Grey. The lines cross.
They're both the same.
Yeah, they are the same. Like
it's creepy. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that she is not concerned.
She's like, oh great, my phone's missing. Like, no girl.
Yeah, my phone's missing. The thing that's attached to your hip every single day. The one thing that you know it should be in your pocket and it's not and has all the information on it that you could possibly ever need is gone, and you're just a bit bummed about it because you can't text someone. No, I would be freaking out. Like, the moment that you lose your purse, what's the first thing you do? You cancel all your cards. You order a new driving license. You cancel everything just in case somebody starts impersonating you. If you lose your phone, you put a block on the phone so that nobody could use the phone to pretend to be you. Like, identity theft is a huge, huge thing. And she's just not concerned about it. And it makes me feel like that maybe the person who's replying to her is not Heather anymore.
Ooh, that's spooky. Do you think... Okay, this is a far-fetched theory, but do you think that if... Say that she dropped her bag was fine. We'll assume that, like, her phone...
Such nerds.
Her phone
was...
was...
such nerds, honestly.
I know. Let's assume that her phone was in her bag. She dropped her bag. Jackson returned her bag to her room after she was gargoyled. He goes through her stuff. He finds her phone. Do you think
he has fun with all the selfies?
Do you think that it has fun with all the selfies? Do you think that for any, because he just immediately like, I can't find my phone. Oh, here's a new phone. Do you think he has her phone?
Maybe, but then I don't think that. Like, I think that.
Like, what would be the reason?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like, he would just give it back.
Okay, you right. Maybe Heather, I like the theory. I like that sinister theory that maybe she's not actually talking to Heather.
Because she's the one contact that Grace still has outside of the world that she's trusting to, like, tell things to. Not necessarily in the most intimate ways, but also if you clone somebody's phone, you can see incoming texts and outgoing texts. So it's not just that this person could reply as anybody, but they could also send things as Grace, and Grace would never know because the moment that they've been sent, they could delete them.
Okay, if it's Heather, like, let's just say that Heather isn't a real person anymore, or Heather's dead, or Heather's being spoofed, you know. Grace was going to have Heather come hang out in Crush or Covet. She was supposed to...
It's in this one.
Okay.
But then she has to cancel because Daddy Cyrus comes.
And Heather gets super upset and then stops talking to Grace. Do you think that Heather was going to come to the school because Heather wasn't actually Heather, or Heather's been body snatched and
by a doppelganger
or a werecrab? And Heather was planning to come to the school and pinch everyone there and turn them all into paranormal sea creatures.
I mean, it has some ground.
I lost you like halfway through that.
Yeah, like you had me in the first half, not gonna lie.
No, I like I like
I
that theory though, that Heather, that
she's the one contact that Grace doesn't see physically.
I wonder,
she would never know whether she wouldn't be able to confirm with Heather that the messages that she had sent were hers. She's not arranging to meet Heather at any specific moments to like check that she's not being stood up or whatever. But at the same time, in the next couple of chapters where she talks to Heather, we might just go, no, this theory is bullshit.
Yeah, you're right.
Because we don't remember anything.
Yeah. Okay, so my big theory, and I'll be honest, your big theory was better than my big theory. I was like,
which one? The
big long one about the
not Heather doppelganger.
No,
Heather
Grace
doppelgrab.
No, Grace not
crab.
Grace not remembering and thinking that the bloodletter might have been the one to toy with her memory.
Mm-hmm.
But my theory was that, okay, and this really hit me when Grace was in the hallway and she meets with Flint and she says, what does she say? She says another M word. She says something and then she's like, or murder. I always get the two mixed up. Like she calls Flint out.
Magnanimous.
Yeah.
Which is not a word as a 17-year-old that
magnanimous. Yeah. But she totally...
I would not know what that even means as a 17-year-old.
But she totally calls Flint out for trying to kill her and he kind of owns it. But this isn't... Like, she is not shying away from this. She's got that backbone in Finn's office. She is acting very, very different than what she did in Crave, where she kind of let everybody push her around. And, you know, we could say that that's the gargoyle in her, but
no,
I think that it is, and we could also say that it's Hudson's current influence on her, but I think that her time with Hudson, we already know from Covet that spending time with him changes her a lot for the better. I think that she is already changed. I think that,
yes,
you know, when you're dating someone new, you start to take on their personality. I think that her personality, because she spent so much time with him, she's already starting to act like him. And she's already being more snarky because she spent so much time with him. She just doesn't know why.
Yeah, I feel like if it was a case that it was Hudson's current influence on her, I think that she would either suddenly regret what she said or not believe that it came out of her mouth kind of thing. Like, oh shit, did I say that out loud kind of realization? But she owns it, and I think it's because it is 100% her. Like, authenticity of Grace. That is her now. That is who she is now. And I don't necessarily think that absorbing traits from a partner is necessarily always a healthy move, but sometimes people do build each other up in a way that no one else is able to do. And Hudson obviously shows throughout Crush and Covet just how much of an influence he has on the girl in a positive way. Not necessarily starting to change her political views or changing her dress code in life, like I've seen other people do in relationships where I'm like, oh, you've ruined yourself.
It's not about being pushed to, it's about naturally taking on those traits. Like I've definitely grown a backbone and a sense of humor since I've been with my husband.
Being ignited.
Yeah.
You're being ignited into the blossom of who you're supposed to be, not who you would want to be or who you could be if you tried to lie to yourself about who you were. Like, at no point does it feel unauthentic or insincere or any of those words where you feel like what Grace is going to become is a bad thing. It's kind of like Feyre with Rhys, like suddenly realizing that she can absolutely be the High Lady of the Night Court, and no one can say no to her. No one will, like, she'll bow to no one, and it's not necessarily her becoming a bitch.
Yeah, and unfortunately that's what we get a lot in fantasy, well, any book really, and reality, is that once the woman starts to gain the backbone, everybody's like, oh, she's being such a bitch. No, what, as someone who has taken a leadership position in everything that I've done, as somebody who owns multiple businesses, as somebody who is I manage a small team at a decent sized company, I've constantly feel like, man, I hope I'm not coming off as a bitch. And I'm like, well, if I flip the table, if I was a man, no one would bat an eye at it, So it's not so much being a bitch. It's just having, having that conviction and being confident.
It's why Nesta made such an impact on me as a character.
God, I love her.
If anybody hasn't read Silver Flames yet, it's definitely a book that I didn't want to read.
Same.
Because at that point, I did not like Nesta. I didn't want to hear about her. I thought that Cassian was going to have his heart ripped out to shreds. And that it was going to be an absolute shame. And that Nesta was a horrible, horrible person. But then I realized that she was who I could be if I had changed my abuse into something stronger. So instead of appearing weak when I have my inner turmoil, or whenever I have my anxiety attacks, I turn into an absolute wet lettuce. Like, I am an emotional sponge. I am a soggy piece of wet bread when it comes to letting out my emotions. Nesta forges them and turns them to iron.
Yeah.
And it makes you realize what abuse and what trauma could turn you into. But then Cassian slowly helps her realize that she's safe now.
And Hudson does the same for Grace. Like, he helps her to develop and to strengthen and to solidify without pushing her or saying, you need to do this, here's what you need to do. She isn't being told what to do. She is being...
She's being told, this is not you. I know who you are, and you would not give up.
Right.
So stand up. Not, you need to stand up and be a man kind of feelings.
Exactly.
No, I know exactly what you're capable of, and you are capable of more than this. So stand up.
Yeah.
Like Cassian teaching Nesta to be a Valkyrie.
Yeah, and going and making her walk to the lake.
And when she decides to do the stairs, and he never ever stops her. He never stops her because he thinks she's going to go down those stairs and she's going to drink. He realizes that she's going down those stairs to test herself, and she comes back up. But every time she does it, she goes a bit further. And he's waiting for that day where she can get to the bottom and then realize that she doesn't want to drink anymore, and she can come all the way back up again. And that was a huge moment where he it wasn't a test from him. It was a test of herself. He knew that she was capable of it, so he just let her do it.
Yeah.
He never tried to stop her. He never made her feel ashamed for wanting to go down the stairs. It was, I feel like Grace, she's just a little bit too young to have got to that point. And if anything, Hudson's kind of got her earlier.
Yeah, because he's older.
So her transition isn't necessarily so strong, or so steep, like of a changing character. But at the same time, he has made her better. He has made her less of a wet lettuce and an emotional sponge.
Yeah.
Less of a wet bread.
All right. Fan questions. Did you read them?
No.
Okay, cool. So
or if I did, I don't remember what they are.
Okay. So the first one is, if you lost your memory for several months, would you want to be told everything that happened during that time period? Like, would you want to know? Or would you rather be like, it's over, remembering isn't going to help me, so I just want to start living my life now?
Depends who I was. If I was with my family, my parents, absolutely not. I knew that the reasons why I did not have those memories anymore was a good thing. If I was with my husband, or if I was with my dog, or with you, and I was on holiday in America and I was doing exciting things, I would be very sad that I didn't have those memories. So yeah, I would want them back, but it would depend on the company. But I think that's because I can make that decision for my parents. No, I know who they were before I lost those memories. So I would know pretty much what happened in those memories if I regained them or not. But the fact that Grace had not met Hudson, but spent the 4 months with him, I think that I would try and get them back. Regardless of what Hudson becomes to us in the next couple of chapters and couple of books, I would want to know, because I would be concerned that I did not know my own heart, and that I spent 4 months with somebody who could be the best person I've ever met. He could also be the worst person I've ever met, but I would never know because I'd never met him before, except those times that I didn't remember. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And the votes.
Like if you know that the memories are going to be positive ones, then absolutely. If you know that the memories are going to be negative, no matter the circumstances, if you know that the memories are going to be negative, why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah, I agree. Assuming that there's like no...
If there's a 50-50 chance, I would want it, because at least then I would be able to make my mind up as to whether I would accept to keep remembering them after that.
Yeah, because you're ultimately just remembering a memory of being told a memory. So it's not, sometimes even
you weren't there.
Yeah. So it might just be better to not have it at all if it's something bad.
But yeah, like, have you ever been like blackout drunk?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm almost 30.
I don't want to know what I did. I don't want to know what I did.
Yeah.
Because it is always associated with feelings of shame because I wasn't aware of what I was doing. But if I knew that what I was doing was with consenting people, so for example, the bestest friends around me, and I knew that every single person around me was a very safe option and they wouldn't allow me to do anything stupid, then sure, a recount of what I was doing last night would be fine, and I'd probably laugh at it or just groan in just exasperation of what I would allow myself to do. But if I was with somebody who I did not trust, I think I would be very happy to just not remember them at all.
No, I get that. The answers were pretty crazy. 104 people said yes, they would prefer to remember. And only 4 people said no, that they wouldn't want to know.
That's fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
That's the fear of missing out as well. I don't really have that. Like, if somebody's like, do you want to come to this thing? It's going to be amazing. No, I'm all right. I'm okay.
Yeah.
It could be a 50-50, so therefore I just rather stay home and definitely do something that I'm going to enjoy. Whereas everybody else would probably want to go with them because there is a chance for them to have fun and they wouldn't want to miss it just in case they missed something else. Whereas I know what I enjoy and therefore I would probably stay at home.
Yeah. All right. Second question is, do you think that Grace and Hudson were actually dating? Like, were they together while in the gargoyle, or is it too much betrayal of Jackson for them to have gotten that close?
It depends on your definition of dating, because I think definitely they were emotionally invested in each other. Mm-hmm. They were in love with each other, but I don't necessarily think that dating is something that you do when you are 100% in love with someone.
Do you think that they were in there making out?
I don't know. I hope so.
Or do you think it was more like that connection where they were close because they were going through challenges and overcoming challenges and emotional and fighting their past together, and they got close?
Yeah. I mean, they both knew at the end of it that they both loved each other, and Hudson was very strongly saying that they both loved each other.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like they'd both fallen in love, but neither of them were confident enough to say to one another that they were in love.
Yeah.
So, do you think that they were dating?
Not dating. I don't think that they were, that it was do you want to be my boyfriend? I don't think it was that.
No, I think that what they have, compared to her and Jackson, her and Hudson are very grown up. And I also think that they'd probably be able to control themselves a bit more physically as well. So even if they did love each other, I think they would be able to communicate to each other that they loved each other, and that they would be very certain that the other one was completely consumed by them, but I don't necessarily think that it would have ended in sex or anything.
I do hope that, I have hopes that Charm is spicy, but at the same time it would, there would be that debate that, oh, she cheated on Jackson. So I'm not quite sure where I stand with it, like what I want versus what would be good for the characters. I know that I would want it to be spicy, but I guess we'll see. The answers though, almost everyone said yes. It was yes, definitely yes. One person said, I think Grace was in love with Hudson, but they weren't dating for Jackson, like for Jackson's sake. Someone said, I think there was definitely something going on. One person said, duh, okay, maybe not dating, but definitely feels were felt.
I just think that they spent 4 months together, which is a very long time. But they both wanted to go back. So therefore, they both understood the responsibilities they had, not only to like the world, but to their friends, to Uncle Finn, to Jackson. They understood their responsibilities of getting back. If they were just happy, like star-crossed lovers, they could have absolutely just spent the rest of their lives in there.
Yeah.
But I think that they probably felt a little bit trapped and realised that, like, there was no future in there. They could absolutely just keep living in their own little bubble, in their own little world. But at some point it needed to end. And unfortunately it did end in that way where Grace managed to escape, kept Hudson in her head, and then forgot everything. But yeah, they weren't so consumed in each other that they forgot to live and to try and escape.
Yeah. Only 2 people said no. And the one person just said no by itself, but the other person said no because Hudson is too respectful of Jackson and Grace's relationship, which I don't know.
I don't think he is.
I don't
think he's responsible.
Yeah, because he's at this point he's like, no, not with him, like not him. So I don't think that it's respect. I think it's severe jealousy, and how could you forget me? I wonder if Grace was like, yeah, when I leave this gargoyle with you, I will break up with Jackson. And like, I wonder if that is something that, I don't know.
So they must have spoken about Grace and Jackson's relationship. Do you think that Hudson would be aware that Grace had bonded with him? Just based on what Grace had told him about them, that she's like, look, there was this pull to him. I cannot stop thinking about him. I cannot stop being concerned about him. It's not like a normal just crush on someone. It's an infatuation where I must be spending my entire time with him. Do you think that he would realize that they were bonded? Because
in the gargoyle or out of the gargoyle?
In the gargoyle, because maybe he realized that maybe Jackson had wanted to bond, but Grace still wasn't there yet, so that he had a chance. But surely he would realize that if they had bonded, there was absolutely no hope, that he was never going to be able to.
Well, Grace didn't know, so since Grace didn't know, then he likely wouldn't know either. So,
what about when Jackson finally? Well, I think it's Macy. Macy tells Grace that they have a bond, that they're bonded, that he's her mate, and I was like, wonder what Hudson's response to that was, because surely if you found out that the person that you loved and you knew 100% loved you back had a mate, like a physical bond.
It would be like finding out that they were married. It would be like finding out that the person that you're in love with is like
to his brother.
Yeah, you find out that they're married to somebody else. You're like, oh, yeah. I don't know.
I'd be interested to know what his thoughts were when that was revealed. Whether he was like, I had a sneaky suspicion, or like no. Whatever they have, it's not a true bond. That is not true love. Or like whether he had a suspicion that it wasn't real.
Yeah. It was broken easy enough. So, all right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap things up, because I know that this was a longer episode and I have to pee. So guys, thanks so much for listening. By the time we do next week's episode, we will know what Tracy's big secret reveal was, because that's going to be...
And you can tell me all about
Yes.
all about everybody's responses to your book as well.
Oh, yeah. I guess they'll have it by the time the next episode airs. Oh, my God. I'm going to... You know the meme?
I'm going to puke.
Yeah, the meme of the kitten with the milk all over its mouth, and it says, I froed up. Like, that's how I feel right now. I'm like, oh, my God.
No, it'll be great.
I'm going to throw up.
Everyone will love it.
Guys, if you want to go buy my book, you can pre-order it now by searching The Channel by Starla Moore, Starla Moore, Moore. Or you can go to explorethechannel.com and find all the links where you can purchase it, as well as merch, character playlists, and some information about the books. But guys, thanks so much for listening.
And leave a nice review on Goodreads, because damn, those are brutal.
I'm so scared. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. I'm not even going to look at them.
I'm so startled. I'm so startled.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.